Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is methylation. All right, what is methylation? Why is this important? Why do we need to know about this for your overall hormone balance and everything? I'm Dr. Beth Westie, women's health and hormone expert. I'm also a functional medicine practitioner. I'm the author of the books The Female Fat Solution and The Female Menopause Solution. These are on Amazon, as well as host of the podcast The Female Health Solution. You can subscribe to that to stay updated on all the things I have coming out, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So let's dive into what methylation really is. I'm actually going to read this off because there are specific things that we don't understand with methylation. It does so many things. It does so many things, right? Sometimes I use imagery like, if we're trying to get your system to function better, it's like you have the wheels on your bicycle are really wobbly, so you want to tighten up those wheels and everything else. Methylation helps with like the spokes, all these different things being stronger and functioning better the way that they should. Methylation is a biochemical process of making sure every cell is functioning optimally, every cell. So if you have a methylation issue, I want you to realize that you've got to constantly work on your methylation to keep it running, right? It's similar to detoxification, and methylation is a step in a detox process, especially when detoxing estrogens. But if your body doesn't detox well, genetically or something, right, that, then you need to assist those pathways using detox things, helping your body sweat, moving your lymph, all that stuff, right? But it's the same thing with methylation. If you do not methylate very well, you have to help your system methylate because it is so important in how every cell and every system functions, head to toe on your body. Methylation is not just responsible for how we repair genetic material, that's a piece of it, but also how we make energy, respond to stress, handle inflammation, and how well our cells detoxify and how our brain chemistry works. Methylation is the process involved in actually turning our genes on or off. That's really important. And we may be able to reduce our risk of developing certain diseases and some types of cancers by optimizing methylation. This is one of the most important things that I talk to people about. Now, I put something up on here, MTHFR, which is a genetic SNP that some people know that is an issue with methylation if you have this genetic SNP. There are other genetic SNPs, though, that also are related with methylation. So if you're like, I got tested for the MTHFR thing and I don't have that, but I still feel like I don't methylate well, maybe yours is MTRR. Maybe yours is that, right? And the important thing to realize when we talk about methylation and genetic coding and everything else and genetic repair and the expression of everything. So for example, the methylation is like the keystone for all of this. Genetic methylation, turning things on or off. So say you're genetically predisposed to have diabetes or something, right? All right, and you are doing all these things to help your body stay as healthy as possible to not get diabetes because it runs in your family, right? Everybody in my family is diabetic or, whatever. Maybe it's cholesterol, maybe it's heart disease or something, right? And you're like, okay, my blood work has always been good. I'm really, really trying. And all of a sudden you get blood work done and you're like, ooh, my numbers changed. What happened? And you go back through and you realize, oh my gosh, I also have an issue with methylation. It can be just that your body's methylation process has really been struggling and therefore it turned on that genetic mechanism. So the way people phrase this is, genetics loads the gun, your environment or lifestyle pulls the trigger. Methylation turns off the safety. So if your body's not methylating well, it makes it that much easier for any little slip up in your environment, lifestyle, all that stuff, which is your diet, your nutrition, your exercise, your stress environment, all that stuff, right? It makes it easier for it to trigger any underlying genetic things. Now, when we talk about genetics versus epigenetics, genetics does not mean that you are absolutely, this is a doom and gloom sentence, right? No, not at all. But you are way better protected against having any genetic things come forth if you are methylating well. So that's why it's so important to make sure you're methylating. There are certain supplements that we talk about to help with methylation, making sure your stress levels are managed to help with methylation, make sure you're sleeping well, make sure your digestive system is functioning well. But if you're not methylating, it can cause hormonal disruption. It can cause weight gain, weight loss resistance. It can cause gut issues. It can cause mental health issues, right? You can literally feel like every piece of your life is on the struggle bus. because you're not methylating well. So this is one of those overall over-encompassing things that says, yup, it is really important that we have your body methylating so you feel better and function better. That's what it is. And again, there's so much more to dive into on this. And I have more resources for you, again, to kind of, if you want to go down this, because this is a rabbit hole. This is absolutely a rabbit hole. But here's what I will tell you, is that clinically, people that I have worked with, women that I've worked with, that have had issues with methylation, once their methylation gets turned on, right, and their body's not methylating well, this is where they're like, on a daily basis, I just don't feel good, I just don't feel like myself, you know, all these things. And then once we start methylating well, once they start that process, it is a complete game changer for them. Complete game changer. They feel way better. Things don't bother them as much. Stressful events don't bother them as much. They're able to move through things at a much better pace and rate. So getting your body to methylate well, always going to be a win. All right. Now, one of the things I love about methylation, if you're like, I wonder how well I'm methylating, I wonder if that's happening. Dutch test. Dutch test is a great way to look at your hormones overall, how well your system is processing things. And there is actually, and this right here, hopefully you guys can see this, is the methylation process that we look at on the Dutch test. So this is related to how well your body is methylating estrogens. How well is your body processing through these hormones? Is it doing a good job or not? We can see it very clearly on a Dutch test. Now, this Dutch test is not a genetic test, it's a dried urine test for hormones, but it shows us how well that's happening in your body or not. So that's why I love Dutch test. One of the many reasons I love Dutch test. So go below this video, click that link, learn more about the Dutch test and learn how you can get it sent right to your house. Take the test, send it into the lab, and then we go over your results, making sure you understand what we're seeing and the best next steps for you moving forward.